If you are a student and you always wanted to set up a business, but for whatever reason you procrastinated, this video is a perfect match. So what does it take to set up a business? A lot of experience, a dream team, perhaps connections, maybe a lot of money, or that entrepreneurial gene. Well, the reality is that all of those things are useful, but they are not the defining factors. The defining factor is your belief in yourself, the willingness to get up after each small failure, okay? The desire to succeed, but most importantly, the main defining factor is having the guts to take action right away. Because the reality is that most people procrastinate. Most people come up with that great idea and then they never take any action. And usually what happens is that after some time, somebody else executes that idea. Now, by the way, when you think that you're the only person thinking about certain idea, you are usually wrong. There are thousands of people around the world coming up with the same ideas. So it's very important to take action right away. Now, when people say that they can't set up a business because of some reasons like lack of money, lack of experience, lack of connections, and so on, they are simply making excuses. And don't get me wrong, I used to be there myself. Now, I try to live my life so I don't regret things, but if I could go back in my life and change something, I would have definitely started the business much earlier. Actually, any business, because what I realize is that it's not about that outcome when you start a business. It's not about making a lot of money. It's not about getting certain level of success. But the most important thing when you start a business is becoming a different person. It's about who you become along the journey, okay? That's the most important thing. So in this video, I'm gonna share with you some of the most important reasons why you should set up a business while you are still a student. Okay, so first of all, let's think about the employment gap. Now, when you set up a business after graduation and for whatever reason something doesn't work out, you fail at your business and you want to go back to your 9-to-5 job, well, you will have to explain to your potential employer what happened, why you have that gap in employment. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, because obviously even if you fail at business venture, you still learn so many invaluable lessons. But at the same time, it may make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. On the other hand, when you start a business while you are still a student, well, even if you fail 10 times, okay, you start 10 different ventures and you fail at each one of them, it doesn't really matter so much, okay? You will learn a ton, but at the same time, you can choose what you say to your potential employer because nobody expects you to work full-time anyway. When you are a student, your main responsibility is to study and have great results on your exams, okay? That's the main thing you have to do. So nobody will look at your CV and say, well, but you haven't been working full-time all the time. Nobody expects you to work full-time anyway. So you may use that free time and that opportunity to set up different business ventures. Now, secondly, when you are a student, you don't really have a family to take care of. Now, of course, there are some exceptions to this, okay? Some people have families, but in general, most students don't have to take care of their families. Now, as a result, your living expenses are lower, and if something doesn't work out for whatever reason, you don't risk so much because you depend only on yourself. There are no other people who have to depend on you. And that's really crucial because when you set up a business after graduation, you know, maybe after a few years of working and something doesn't work out, well, other people depend on you. Your wife, your husband, your kids, okay, your family depends on you, so it's much more risky. Now, another thing you should definitely consider is that even if you fail while you are starting a business at university, you have to understand that failure is just a part of success. I don't know anybody who achieved massive success without failing at something along the way, because failures are expected. And when you fail, that's when you learn the most about yourself and about the business you want to create, okay? So failures are inevitable, and as I said, it's better to fail when you are still young, when you are a student, than to fail when you are, let's say, 28, 29, 30 years old, and you have a family to take care of. One thing you have to consider is that when you start a business while being a student, you have so much support from different organizations. For example, from your university. I mean, I don't know your specific university, but I'm totally sure that you have different business societies that you can join. Now, for example, when I was a student, I joined various business societies, like, for example, ISEC, or trading and investment society. And after the first year, I actually became one of the members of the executive board of those societies. So I was responsible for managing hundreds of people, okay, setting up events for thousands of different students. And when you do those things, you get so much experience about business, okay? You learn how to network, you learn how to present, you gain confidence, you gain all those connections, so many invaluable lessons. And the question is, why would you wait for a couple of years to use those new skills in your business if you can do it right away? If you can set up a business right now and use all this knowledge straight away. Another thing to consider is that when you are a student, you have access to thousands of people. Now, many students take it for granted. Many people think that it will be always like this. But let's face it, when you finish university and you start a normal job, suddenly your time is very limited. Okay, suddenly you have to work every single day for 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10 or 11 hours. So suddenly your time is very limited, and by the way, your social circle becomes smaller because many of your university friends, they go to work in different cities, maybe different countries, so your social circle becomes smaller. So if you want to conduct a market research, or essentially you want to talk to people, you want to get new connections, you want to get new clients, is much tougher because you don't have access to so many people. Now, when you are a student, what it takes to do a market research or to get your first customers is to simply walk around the university and talk to people. It's so simple because students are very open to making new connections. So if you want to do a market research, for example, you have that new software, that new web page, or whatever it is, you can just walk around your university and you can talk to people. Hey, what's up? Do you have a minute? And you can talk to them, you can share your idea with them, and maybe after a few minutes you can say, by the way, would you like to sign up to my webpage? It's free for now, and you would be one of the first people on that webpage. I think that you will enjoy it. And by the way, I have my laptop with me. It will take 20 seconds. Would you like to do it? So you can literally get your first customers right away, okay? It's incredible how many things you can do when you are a student. Now, one thing to consider is that you don't really need too much money to start a business, okay? You don't need too much money to start a business. And one of the biggest misconceptions many people, especially many students, have is that if you want to start a business, you need that huge capital, okay? It's simply not true. You don't need a lot of money to start a business. Now, of course, there are certain businesses that require a lot of capital. For example, if you want to set up a hotel or maybe a restaurant business, then of course you need more money. And you may be thinking, well, but this is precisely what I want to do, so I'm going to wait until I have that amount of money. Well, the way I see it is that there is no point of waiting for that magic moment. It's so much better to set up something small right now so you can generate some money, and then it's up to you what you're going to do with the cash you make on your first business venture. Before I finish this video, I would like to share with you a short story that may inspire you. Now, once upon a time, there was a boy who wasn't really good at school. In fact, at one point, he got kicked out. So he started different menial jobs, but he got fired over and over again. Now, when you think about it, his life was a one big failure. He never tasted success. But at one point, he figured out what he really wanted to do in his life. He figured out his true purpose, his vision. So he kept pushing every single day in spite of failure. In fact, he failed over 1,000 times. But at one point, the light bulb lit, because that boy's name was Thomas Edison. Now you may be thinking, well, maybe Thomas Edison had that X factor. Maybe he had something that I don't have. But the truth is that as humans, we tend to overestimate other people and underestimate ourselves. But you have to remember that you are better than you think you are. And you may have all those limitations, but most of them are just limiting beliefs. So you think that you have limitations, but they are not true. They are just limiting beliefs that you imposed on yourself. Now think about this. Right now, there are over 12 million millionaires living in the world. 12 million millionaires. That's ridiculous, right? So you can't tell me that all of those people are geniuses. I mean, imagine 12 million geniuses. Come on, it doesn't seem real. What those people have in common, though, is that willingness to take action. Okay? They don't procrastinate. When they have that idea, they execute it. They don't wait for some perfect circumstances, but they try to figure out what they can do right away to make it happen. Now, most people, when they have that vision, they have that goal, they have something they want to achieve. For example, they want to set up certain type of business, they try to find reasons why they can't do it. They're looking for different excuses. So in case it doesn't work for them, they can rationalize why it didn't work. But on the other hand, successful people think in a different way. They don't think about all the excuses. They think about the reasons why they need to do it right away. So if there is some business idea that you were thinking about for a long time, but for whatever reason you've never taken any action, maybe you felt like you don't have enough experience, enough money, enough connections, enough time, whatever it is, make a conscious commitment to yourself that at least you will take that first step and you will do your best. Because the truth is that the first step is the hardest one. But once you take that first step, you build the momentum and everything becomes easier. So what I want you to do is to take a piece of paper, think about that idea you had, the idea you always wanted to implement, and figure out what's the first step that you can take today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, but today. And it can be something as simple as making that quick phone call, maybe sending that email, or perhaps registering that website. Whatever it is, make a conscious commitment to yourself that you will perform it today. So jot it down, keep it in your pocket, and force yourself to do it today. Because I can guarantee you that once you do it, you will build that massive momentum. You will feel amazing because finally you've done something to get closer to that vision. And as a result, you will be more likely to take massive action later on. So this is my challenge for you, okay? Jot it down on a piece of paper and do it right now.